How do you juggle business, relationship, and health?
I think it's about finding the balance between all three of them. Like if you have a relationship issue that is out, your business is going to suffer. If you have a health issue that's out, your business and relationships are going to suffer. They need to be equal parts prioritized in your life. And I think like one of the most important things you could ever do is get all three of those things dialed in.
And when you're focusing on business, don't be thinking about all the things that you're guilty about. Like, oh, I should be spending time with my kids, or, oh, I should be making time for my health. If you just do the thing that you said you were going to do in the time that you did it, and you didn't get yourself all emotional and overwhelmed while trying to do something else, you would actually do everything a lot better.
Welcome to the Success School podcast. We are on episode 48. Today we're talking about our success formula for business, health, and relationships. I would say kids, but we don't have any, so we're not going to talk to you guys and pretend that we know what the heck's going on.
Because we don't. Yeah.
Steph, how you feeling? Well, we got fur kids,
We
actually.
have fur babies,
We got fur
and,
kids.
you know, I would say that they're pretty troublesome, actually, most of the time. Very sweet, very cute. I'm sure, like, you guys think that your kids are sweet and cute, too. But our dogs are sweet and cute, but also, pretty naughty. And they piss everywhere, which is pretty frustrating.
Yeah, our dog pisses on everything.
Man, he just has not
like
stopped.
Our little dog, man.
We literally, got his balls cut off because I thought that would help, but did not change
Humanely,
anything.
by the way. Steph makes that sound like a fucking medieval procedure. Just got his balls chopped off.
They're annoying me. No.
Personal update. Yeah, you've got a big one today. Like a really important one.
I've just changed it last minute.
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
this is news to me.
Yeah. So for my personal update today, I put something on my stories a couple of weeks ago, and it's very...
Oh my God, Instagram stories.
It's an incredibly pressing topic that I think really deserves some airtime. It was Yeti versus Frank Green water bottles. And Tim is very much a Yeti man, and I'm very much a Frank Green girl. Mostly I just like the Frank Green bottles because they do look pretty, and I enjoy the handle. It's like the hangy kind of soft handle, whereas like the Yetis are very big and heavy and strong. Now, the Yeti, I will be honest, and you know, it has lasted a lot longer. Tim's, I mean, to be fair, he doesn't use it as much as he should. But the Yeti is very good, and it has lasted a lot longer. I'm on to my second Frank Green, and Tim's Yeti it looks brand new. So I would say that definitely from a durability perspective. But the point that I wanted to make was not
Yeti's
actually...
where it at.
Yeti is probably a better overall product. But the point that I wanted to make was that I had this one client reach out, and she was like, oh, I don't buy either of those. I don't buy expensive water bottles because I always lose my water bottles. And we used to be like that. We used to lose our water bottles. We used to lose our sunglasses.
Clothes.
Like anything. But the minute that we started spending more money on stuff, like, so Tim was like, honestly, I don't think he had a pair of sunglasses for more than 2 weeks ever for the first 3 years that I knew him. He was constantly buying sunglasses. But since we bought him an expensive pair of sunglasses, he's had them for almost a year.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing goes. I used to always forget my water bottles and leave them at the gym and stuff. But now I never do because I've got so much sunk cost in the product. The Yeti water bottles and the Frank Green water is like $100. So like you just don't want to lose it. And so I just think like, guys, if you have a problem, and the same thing with our cars, like in terms of we have more expensive cars, and since we've had more expensive cars, we've cared about them a lot more. Like
100%.
we take them to services on time and we get them cleaned and we like look after them a lot more. And so I would say that like if you're having any problems in life, you might just need to spend some more money.
Case in point, sign up to our coaching program, spend some more money.
No. But I think...
You got to spare 10K, let's
go. I think it really comes down to that mindset of like, if you've put a lot into it, you're going to get a lot more out of it. And so from a pricing strategy for your business, if you charge a little bit more, people are going to take it that little bit more seriously as well and probably get a better outcome.
Yeah, okay. I mean, love that, but Yeti for the win. Where's my Yeti crew? Send me a DM on Instagram.
Yeah, you would
love you guys.
All right. Your personal update.
Yeah, personal update for me. So, having a chat with a friend of mine the other day, and she was meant to come on the Gibb River Road with us, and instead she was like, oh, I'm going to Europe, and I said, okay, cool, what happened to the Gibb River? And she said, well, Cam doesn't want to go with you. And I was like, okay, cool, that's her partner.
Ow!
I was like, youch, why doesn't he want to go with me? And she's like, he's really scared for you and doesn't want to be involved in you guys getting hurt. And I was like, what the getting hurt? Like, we're doing a 4-wheel drive track in northern Western Australia. Like, we're not going to get hurt. And she was like, he's really worried for your safety because you guys are really underprepared. And I was just thinking to myself, are we underprepared? Or is this just another case of a Karen that is really worried about us and we're going to be fine?
Are you calling Cam a Karen?
Cam, you're a Karen. And what I thought from that is, like, I honestly think we can do whatever the fuck we want. It's not going to be that bad. Like, what could possibly go wrong? Like, we have water, we have food, we have shelter, we have our dogs, we have guns, we have all the shit. Like, we're going to be completely fine with this. And I just thought it's so funny people's perceptions of things. Because you and I are just like, yeah, ain't no thing. Like, doing the Gibb River Road in a $300,000 setup with the shit we've got. Like, we're not worried. But other people close to us are so worried for our trip. And by the time this airs, we're probably going to be on a trip. So make sure you check out our Instagrams. It's going to be quite fun. But my lesson of the week or personal update is we're going to be okay, guys. Fucking back us in. Back us in.
And I would also just say, this is just a reminder to every single person listening to this podcast. Everyone is always going to have an opinion. And some people's risk tolerances aren't as high as ours. Like Tim and I would say we have quite a high risk tolerance. We're cool. Like, the worst thing that can happen is we ride off our car, we ride off our caravan. That's cool. It's insured.
They're both insured.
So, like, that's our, like, worst case scenario, you know, other than, like, you know, obviously a crash that we would get injured. But, like, that could happen outside our house. That doesn't have to happen on the Gibb. And, in fact, going as slowly as we'll be going on the Gibb, I think it's almost impossible to crash the car in a way that would injure us. And so I just think, you know, guys, everyone's always going to have an opinion about the way that you do things and what you're doing. And at the end of the day, all you can listen to is always what inside tells you. And inside is telling me and Tim, we're going to be fine. And we're just going to have a good time. And yeah, we're probably going to fuck a heap of stuff up. And we're going to give you guys lots of laughs. So please watch it on socials because it'll be hilarious. We are going to totally mess things up. But it's nothing that we can't get ourselves out of and nothing that we don't feel unsafe to do. And so just a reminder for you guys, like, people are always going to have opinions, but it's up to you what you decide to do. All right, so into today's topic, we wanted to go through our success formula for business, relationships, and health. And the reason we want to go through this is because, one, we believe that all three of those things are very, very linked to have overall success in life. And two, if you have one of these things but not the other two, or if you have, you know, even two of these things and not the third one, eventually it's going to become a problem for you. And learning to navigate all three things are so important for life. Like, you know, no one ever cares about their health until they don't have it. You know, your relationships are frustrating until you realize that there's actually a lot to lose and they're really important and they can be very easily neglected when you're busy. And we all know that business is really hard. And so a lot of the questions that we get are, how do we navigate all three things and create, you know, consistent habits and routines and stuff like that allow us to have really healthy business, really healthy relationship, not just with each other, but also with other people, and also to navigate our health. So, Tim, how do you juggle business, relationship, and health?
Yeah, I think the most simple answer here is make time for all of them and have that scheduled in. I think, like, you know, in terms of our routines, we usually train in the morning up until yesterday, until the gym was over. But, like, we usually train in the morning and then we commit 5, 6, 7 hours a day for business. And in the afternoon, we usually have, like, our connection time where we walk the dogs and do the spa and you know, essentially just sit down and cook dinner together and those types of things. So I think, like, setting the time for each of them is the most important part. Yeah, Steph kind of mentioned it before, but, like, you know, what do you have if you don't have your health? And when you have great health and you have maximal health and you're vibrant and you're energetic and you're happy and you have all those types of things, you generally do a lot better in business anyway. So for us, we know a lot of people who, you know, aren't super healthy and their business can struggle, you know, as a part of that as well. And then we know a lot of people who are healthy and just haven't committed the right amount of time to their business. So I think it's about finding the balance between all three of them. And if you have one that is out, like if you have a relationship issue that is out, your business is going to suffer. If you have a health issue that's out, your business and relationships are going to suffer. And then if you don't have the financial security that you would like to in life, your relationships and your health are also going to suffer. So they need to be, you know, equal parts prioritized in your life. And I think, like, one of the most important things you could ever do is get all three of those things dialed in. All right, Steph, so let's go into it. What does a day look like for you, like business, relationship, health?
There is actually a training that I've created on this. So I'm going to pop the training. It's actually a YouTube training that I created because this is probably one of my most asked questions. Is like, how do you kind of navigate it all and make time for it all and do it all so well? And so I have got a training, which I'll attach below. So just check out the show notes. But the number one thing for me is, like Tim said, making time for it. And that has to be a very active choice. You have to actively choose to make time for it. And then you have to actively carve that time out in your calendar. I was having a beautiful chat with one of our clients, Kat, the other day. And she was saying, like, you know, she has dropped back her work hours so she can be more present with her kids. But then when she's with her kids, she's constantly thinking about her business. And I was like, well, that that is counterintuitive. You may as well just fucking work because, you know, you're not doing either thing well. You're doing nothing well in that situation. You know, you're not being present with your kids, so you're not enjoying it. You're getting yourself stressed out about business, which means that when you actually come to do the business work, you're feeling super stressed about it in the first place. So my biggest piece of advice to you is like when you make the time, so like if you're making time to connect with your husband, turn your phones off, turn all the TVs off, like make time to connect. Like maybe have some questions that you ask each other every day, like a series of questions that you check in with each other on, like how are you doing? How are you feeling? What came up for you today? What did you learn? Like the high performance planner that we use from Brenda Burchard has some really cool like prompts for that you could ask each other every day as like a wind down. But if you're going to make time to be with your partner, make time to be there and be really present. If you're going to make time to be with your kids, shut the freaking laptop, turn off your phone and choose to be present with your kids. Like there's nothing you can do in your business, so there's no point bloody thinking about it. And when you're focusing on business, don't be thinking about all the things that you're guilty about, like, oh, I should be spending time with my kids, or oh, I should be making time for my health, or I should be... If you just do the thing that you said you were going to do in the time that you did it, and you didn't get yourself all emotional and overwhelmed while trying to do something else, you would actually do everything a lot better. So by carving out the time to go to the gym in the mornings and just taking that hour out first thing in the day, it allows me to not have to think about my health for the rest of the day, because like other than cooking, I'm done for the day. That's amazing. And if I'm prepped, like on a Sunday when we're recording this, like this afternoon, I'm going to prep all my meals for the week. I'm not going to actually cook them, but I'm going to make sure I have a meal plan written out, and I've got my groceries all delivered and everything we need is in the fridge. And it's like, how can you just create some little habits and routines that set you up so that you can win in health, so that you can win in your relationship, and so that you can win in your business? But the biggest problem I see with most entrepreneurs is they spend so much time trying to work, but thinking about how bad a mum they are or how bad a wife they are, and so not getting any actual work done, which is crazy. And then when they're with their partners or their kids, they feel guilty because they're not working. So if you're going to do it, just do it. Tim, what do your priorities look like? So obviously, because this comes down to priorities, like, you know, I'm in a season of prioritizing my health a little bit more at the moment. How do you, like, what are your priorities right now, and how do you roll that out across your time?
Yeah, I'm massive on getting a workout in first thing in the morning, and I think that sets you up for a great day. I think the hardest part of your day is the training session, and then everything else is easier. After that, it would move into business. So, you know, we do the power list formula in Success School. That's what we teach, and that's 3 to 5 needle moving items every single day, stuff that's actually going to, you know, grow your business and move it forward, working on your business, not in your business. Okay. What power list items look like is reaching out to 20 prospects, you know, creating a piece of content, you know, booking a networking meeting or a connection call with someone in your network, reviewing your Facebook ads or your paid ads formula, like whatever that looks like. But things that are actually going to move the needle in your business, not chasing invoices, replying to emails, you know, sending your VA a message, like those types of things. So they've got to be active things that are moving your business forward. So we've got the needle moving stuff or the power list, we've got the fitness, and lastly, we carve out some time for our relationship. So usually 3-4 p.m. we'll go for a walk with our dogs. Then we'll have a spa time usually in the afternoon. Then we'll cook together, and then we'll usually spend 3-4 hours together in the afternoons. And that's our prioritization at the moment. We don't have kids yet, but I'm sure that's going to throw some spanners in the works there. But I think the key things that you guys need to get from this, if you want to have a successful business, is you need to take your health and fitness seriously. And if you want to have a successful business, you also need to take your business seriously and be executing needle moving items every single day. All right, Steph. How do you handle things when shit hits the fan?
Yes, I wanted to throw this question in because at the end of the day, it's all well and good to have an ideal week, and again, watch the training below, but it's all well and good to have that ideal week or to have these priorities or these plans in place. But sometimes, as I'm sure you guys are well aware, like shit's going to hit the fan and things are going to go wrong, and all those best intentions are going to get thrown out because someone ended up in hospital or something happened, or, you know, you ran out of electricity for 6 days, or your roof caved in, or like whatever happens. Like life does throw its little curveballs at you. And so how do we navigate that in our world? Well, we, first of all, drop the bloody pressure. Like the first thing is to drop the pressure, because when shit does hit the fan and everything goes wrong and nothing is working, your roof's caved in or your parents are in hospital, your kids, you know, broken an arm or whatever, you are going to be at reduced capacity for a small moment. And it's a season. It's a moment in time. It might be a couple of days. It might be a week. but it will pass, and your priorities do need to shift. You do. It's like right now your priority could be business, let's say, and your health could be waning. Then you could make health your priority, and then something could be thrown in the way. But your priorities will shift. Like right now, as an example, my parents are not so much of a priority in my life. However, there are seasons where they become the number one priority in my life because they're not super well, and so there. In seasons like this right now, it's all well and good for me to be like, yeah, these are my priorities. But sometimes shit does hit the fan, and it just means for that little moment, that season, a couple of days, a week or two, that my priorities are going to shift. And so you can't expect yourself to perform at the same level as you were before now that your priority has shifted. And so the first thing that my piece of advice to you would be is just like drop the pressure. And then the second thing is I'd probably also create, and I get a lot of our clients to do this, a second ideal week that's like my shit hits the fan ideal week. So that basically just means like, what are my daily non-negotiables that and it might be like 20 minutes of work that just need to be done every day so that things can tick along in these moments where things are not good. And so just figuring out what those tasks look like for you, for us, we know exactly what they are. I could probably do 20 minutes of work in a day and everything would run fine. And we could probably do that for a couple of weeks, to be honest, without anything really hitting the fan. But for you guys, you need to figure out, what does it look like if I can't work, if I am at reduced capacity? What are my daily non-negotiable tasks? And it might be an hour's worth of work. It might be, an hour, a way of connecting with your partner. It might be, some non-negotiables. Like even when she hits the fan with my parents or anything else going on, I will always work out. I will always move my body, and I will always eat well, because that becomes even more important when your emotions are high.
Yeah, I think Steph just did nail at the end, and she just did say it in the final 3 words of her last sentence, but emotions. So when shit hits the fan, you are very emotional. And my number one piece of advice with this is to be unemotional about it as possible. And if you are going to react, and I do say the key word there is react, you need to stop yourself from replying to that text or that email or that phone call or whatever it is, and give yourself some space. So when shit hits the fan in business for us, I usually will get a shitty message or an email or something will trigger me or something like that. I'll close it down. I won't reply. I won't react. I won't do anything for at least 24 hours. 24, 48, 72 hours is great, because I think things do get worse when you react emotionally. And then the last piece of advice here is, guys, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't give a fuck about it now, okay? So if it's not going to matter in 5 years, give less of a fuck about it in the now, because it's not going to matter in the overall trajectory of your life and business.
In saying that, Tim can really very firmly say that, because there was a series and a season in Tim's life where he did react, and where he will get triggered by messages from clients or whatever, and he would react, and that wasn't helpful.
Yeah, someone would try to blow me up and I'd blow them up like 10 times as bad.
Yeah, and that wasn't super helpful for business or health, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so something that we've learned to stop doing. And so guys, like when we get triggered by stuff, we also want to fire back, but we've just gotten really, really good at taking some space and figuring out what it really means to us, and if it does actually matter, and if it's even worth responding to most of the time. Tim, how important do you think health is for business owners? And look, I want to preface this with like, of course, but if it's of course, then why don't more business owners take more care of their health?
Man, do you want my real answer here, or like the fake answer, or the sugar-coated answer? I think a lot of people are lazy, and I think that's why a lot of people don't do fitness, because they think it's hard. But fitness is hard, and business is hard, and that's why people that have their fitness together usually have their business together as well. And, there is some commonalities between people that do well with fitness and do well with business as well. So I think a lot of people don't take it as seriously as it should, because they don't think it's a big deal until it is, until their health starts declining. And when your health declines, you can't really perform in business. And, you've got hospitals, you've got doctors, you've got tests, you've got blood tests, you've got all the shit. And if you're doing that and you're spending time driving back and forth to these people week in, week out, because your stuff isn't together or dialed or tight, you're going to have a very hard time succeeding in business. So I guess like the quality of a business will dictate how long you can give it and the energy that you can give it as well. So maximize the quality time that you have on this earth, and you're going to do better with business, and you're going to leave a better legacy for your family.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things with health is like, and I want to touch on, Tim said lazy, that word triggers me. So just so if you're triggered, that's cool. I understand. But what he really is saying is like, fitness is hard, business is hard. And a lot of the times that people give up in business or fitness is because it's hard. And I think I think human beings naturally avoid hardship. We naturally tend to go down and find easier routes. And so, when we talk about health, we're not saying that you need to exercise 13 hours a day, 7 days a week, or anything crazy like that. We're talking about like go for a walk, have some movement, move your body, like be conscious of the food that you're putting in your body, you know, be conscious of the things that you're putting on your body as well. And like not just moving to like because you hate your body and you're trying to lose weight, but moving because and functionally because your hip joints deserve it, because your knees deserve it, because you want to have a long and healthy life where you're able to still, you know, dance when you're 80. And so I do think that, you know, when we look at health, I think that human beings avoid hardship. And I would say that I know and I understand that health isn't simple and it's not really easy in today's environment and in our culture, but it is so worth putting time and effort into. As two of us have both experienced poor health, and it's not good. It's really, really unhelpful, and it's really stressful, and it's really like a sobering experience. And so you don't realize how much it matters until you don't have it. How do you navigate a happy relationship in business?
How do you navigate a happy relationship in business is a great question. I think happiness in a relationship comes from consciousness about yourself, what you want, what your partner wants, how that fits into your expectations of your life. And overall, generally just understanding that this other person that you have decided to spend the rest of your life with, you know, when you signed the agreement or whatever you did at the time, also has needs, and they are on their own journey as well. So it's how you can best support your needs and their needs at the same time and find some harmony and some commonality between the two. I think like every time Steph's having a moment, which, you know, happens quite a bit, I just need to see it from her perspective, which I always do. Even if she's being psychotic, which, you know, like I can be psychotic as well. I'm not like going to stay there and stand there and be like, oh, girls are psycho or girls are psycho. It's like, you just got to understand that they're going through a journey and some stuff as well. And like, we're all not perfect. So I think like with that lens and with the other lens of like the grass is greener where you water it, you know, not on the other side. And I think it's really common in this day and age to really just throw things in when it gets a little bit hard. In relationships as well. I think that's a little bit of a cop-out, to be honest, with relationships. And I think you need to put in the work. And if you value the person and you value the relationship, you know, it's your duty to make the relationship as good as it can be. And that starts with you. It doesn't start with them. Anything I missed?
One thing that, like, I'll just give you guys an example. Like, you know, when something's going wrong or something's going on for somebody, let's say if I use Tim as an example and, you know, he's having an emotional moment, maybe, you know, there's something big that's going on or about to come up in his life, like, you know, selling our gym recently, there was a couple of big emotional moments that came up around that time. And it's about understanding and seeing each other's patterns and also not buying into them. So, like, I will definitely have emotional patterns that Tim will recognize as I start. You know, I can be quite hurtful when I'm hurting. And so, you know, for Tim, it's like if I start to be hurtful, instead of reacting and being hurtful back, Tim just catches it and goes, okay, I can see Steph, she's going through this experience right now. This actually has nothing to do with me and everything to do with her. And I'm not going to buy in and react to her emotional stuff because this is actually just her way of processing. And, you know, the same thing goes for Tim. You know, sometimes Tim's first instinct is to kind of put it back on you. And I've recognized that over the years. And now when he does, I'm just like, I just receive it instead of fighting back, instead of arcing up, instead of being like, well, actually, you do this. We just catch it and then we hold it and we just allow them to process their stuff. It actually doesn't, when Tim's going through something like that, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with what he's experiencing. And it always comes back around once the emotion dies off in a couple of hours. It's always like, oh, I'm really sorry that happened. And let's talk it through. And this is what I was actually feeling. And here's what was actually going on. And I think so much of what goes wrong in a relationship is when we talk about, you know, when you get married, everyone's like, oh, you know, communication is the most important thing, but no one tells you how to communicate. And so that whenever someone is coming at you, like your husband, your spouse, your wife, they're coming at you and they're spouting hate or anger or disappointment or hurt, and it looks like blame. It might look like blame. It might look like you did this or you did that. Just receive it instead of reacting to it, because by reacting to it and saying hurtful things back, you're putting your relationship so many steps behind, rather than just receiving it. And then when they've calmed down, going, hey, when you said this, it really hurt me. And I can see that this is, you know, what happened. And I can see that that's this, but moving forward, I really appreciate if you didn't speak to me that way. Obviously, when they're in the middle of that emotion, they're probably not going to receive that as well. So you've just got to kind of take some space, get out of it and stop reacting, I think.
All right, great question for you, Steph. And you've been through this first-handed. You're going to make me look like an absolute legend here. But if you had a partner that didn't believe in you and your business, what would you do?
Tim has been phenomenal. Tim literally believed in me so much more than I believed in myself. And so I've been very, very lucky to have Tim in my world for this reason. In saying that, we have a lot of clients who don't have supportive partners, and who think that their businesses are just, little businesses or aren't ever going to make anything or are a waste of time and money investment. And that's tough. Like that's really hard. I think the expectation from the person who is not being believed in is like, you should have my back and blah, blah, blah. And you got to understand first and foremost that it's some level of fear or protection that person is trying to. So the fear might be that like you're going to fail and that they're going to have to pick up the pieces and that you're going to waste money that's both of yours and that they just don't want to see you go through that hurt. So that's like the protection part of it. And then the other bit is like the fear is like there could be a lot of fears that come up there's so much stuff that we can't, and especially when we look at men, there's so much stuff that comes up around being the sole provider and different cultural influences that make men want you to just basically sometimes some men will be really happy for you just to be a stay-at-home wife. And if you don't feel like that's for you and your soul, if you know that that's not your path in life, it can be really hard to get them to see a different perspective. And so I would just say that if you have a partner that isn't supporting you right now, it is your duty to prove them wrong. And you just have to be quite silent about it. You have to get on with it. And I guess almost show them with proof, because a lot of people need to see to believe. And so if your partner sees you winning and sees that this has got legs and sees that it's actually really great and sees the money coming in, they're suddenly going to start believing in you a lot more. And so I would just work silently towards it if it was me. Right. So what do you outsource in your life? Because like we have been running multiple multi-7-figure businesses. We practice our health. We have a really good relationship. We spend a lot of time in a hot tub. What do you outsource to be able to create that sort of space and time?
Yeah, I think the main stuff is, you need to work out your hourly rate here. So like how much you earn per hour, in your business. And then you need to weigh it up. Like, could you do more hours in your business and make more money and then outsource the rest, especially if it's less than? So I know Dan Martell says, if your hourly rate is $100 and you can outsource something for a quarter of that, so 25%, so $25 in this example, then it should be a no-brainer for you to outsource it. Steph and I's hourly rate is quite high. So anything less than that is worth outsourcing for us. So what we do outsource, like the main thing is we have a housekeeper 4 days a week for 3 hours, and that's about 12 hours a week, and that's like washing, cleaning the house, floors, windows, playing with the dogs, all that type of stuff, gardening, maintenance, generally anything on the house that we also don't love doing. Anything I missed? I think that's the main ones, hey?
Yeah, so Diane's amazing. We are so lucky to have her. She, 4 days a week she's here with us, and does all that sort of stuff, organizes the house for us, runs errands, returns stuff, returns my online shopping, goes to the shops and gets us the things that we need. Yeah, she's been really phenomenal, and it's probably more hours than we need, but we also know that going into the next season where, we hope to have children at some stage, we know we're going to lean on Diane quite a lot in that phase. And so we just want to make sure that she's feeling supported and has what she needs right now so that she can stay with us long term. But we outsource that. And a way of figuring out your hourly rate, I want to just touch on this because I think this is super important. The best way that you can figure it out is to divide how much you earn in a year by the amount of hours that you work. And so that's
like 2,000, eh?
Ours is like $2,100 and something dollars an hour.
Like 2,000 hours a year is like how much you work.
Oh, right, yeah. I think ours works out to be about $2,000 an hour though. So if something comes in under $2,000 an hour, Tim and I will often decide to do it. Not that high. Usually, like it depends, but for us, it's like we're definitely not going to clean our house. One, it doesn't bring us joy. If you listen to this right now... I
still clean it.
Tim actually, it does actually bring joy. If you enjoy cleaning and you enjoy organizing and you enjoy doing those things around your house, that's cool. Outsource some other stuff so you can do that stuff. Like, that's totally fine. Like, don't mow your lawn, get someone else to do that. Don't do your hedging, get someone else to do that. Don't do your weeding, get someone else to do that. Like, whatever it is that doesn't light you up. Like, I'm definitely not lit up by housewife work, personally, other than cooking. And so, for me, it's like...
Should come around.
Yeah. For me, it's like, there's no way you're going to get me doing that stuff. But for other people, that's why Diane loves it. So I think it's just really important to also, like Tim spoke about it earlier, like energy in business is everything. And so it's like, it really matters, you know?
Steph, just, quickly, I know this is a business podcast, but this is highly beneficial for everyone on the show. So what's the difference between a cleaner and a housekeeper? Because I think we did the upgrade.
We did do the upgrade, yeah. So cleaners won't more often than not. We had cleaners before we had housekeepers, and the reason we moved to a housekeeper was because we wanted more stuff done. Cleaners will come in, they'll clean your floors, they'll clean your windows, they'll clean your, bench tops and
Basic
bathrooms and all the stuff. But they won't strip your bed, do your washing. They won't organize your drawers. They won't run errands. They won't walk your dogs. Yeah, they won't do any of those things. So we upgraded to a housekeeper. I've had a lot of people. I put a reel up the other day being like, I'm a 7-figure business owner, and here's the things that I don't do in my life, and one of them was cleaning. And I put this as a $35 an hour task. Now, we actually pay Diane slightly more than that, but there are a lot of housekeepers in Perth for $22, $50, $25 an hour. The people in Melbourne and Sydney are like, oh my God, that is so insane. Like, even if it was $55, even if it was $65 an hour, we would still do it, first of all. But second of all, the answer to the question that is on your lips, every single woman that is listening to this podcast right now is like, but where do I find someone? We found Diane on care.com. So we're not affiliated, we've got nothing, but that's just a number one question that I get. Go to care.com, put up a job ad and see what you get through. But yeah, that's we've had her for 2.5 years now, and she's been amazing.
I kind of don't want to say this on the podcast, but Perth is way better than Sydney and Melbourne.
He's like, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah, honestly, just in terms of quality of life, cost of living, finances,
weather.
People are so much more relaxed and chill here. Like, the weather is way better.
Yeah, so
it's a little bit of a hack, man. Everyone's like, oh, it's the middle of nowhere. Like, yes, it is, but also that's great.
How great.
Yeah. It's actually so good.
If you want cheap housekeeping and cheap rent and cheaper cost of living, guys, and more sunshine, you know where to come. Like, we'll happily have you here.
Yeah, let's make it the entrepreneur's capital of Australia.
Perth.
All right, guys. So if you got some value from that episode, please subscribe, follow the show, and leave us a review. That would be incredible.
I would say that my recap from today would be, guys, you're not supposed to do it all yourself, and you're not supposed to do it all alone. And so, carve out space and time for each of the things that are most important to you for your health. Carve out space and time for your business. Carve out space and time for your relationships, or finding one, or nurturing one, or friendships. But carve out the space and time for all of those things individually. And then when you're doing those things, don't focus on anything else other than that thing. And just a reminder, outsourcing is cool. Move to Perth.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.